Welcome back to Alone in the Dark. This is part 11, our final part of the game. We'll be covering all of the endings for Edward in this video, and I will be giving you my final thoughts during the end credits. Here you can see we started out with me making a save right there. That is just an in-case save because I have no saves with Edward whatsoever, so I made one right here just in case anything goes wrong. So we're going to follow this path all the way up where we will meet Jacob and have our first part of the fight with him. As you already know, he's pretty easy, not too much to worry about here. Just take him out and then we can go ahead and do the final talisman puzzle.
Hey you! What are you doing here? What is this place?
Turn back, detective. You're not wanted here.
Whoa, take it easy. I'm not your enemy.
Oh, you're wrong, detective. You're wrong.
As soon as Jacob comes towards you and you get control, dodge away. Other than that, just try and stay away from him. There are some healing items around if you do need them. It should take roughly 4 to 5 shots with the shotgun to take him out, and then we can go and interact with the large talisman. Just put the snake dagger into that pillar here, and then we can move the talisman that's on the ground to put in a code. So the outside rim we want to turn right 2 times. The middle section, that one needs to be turned right 4 times. And the center section has to be turned left 2 times. And then we will get a cutscene. Same as last time, you want to unload a full clip from the Tommy gun into Jacob and then stab him with the dagger. And we'll do that 3 times to get rid of him. If you start shooting while he's still on the ground, you will need an extra shot from another weapon. Just beware of him slapping his tentacles around. He's not too bad of a fight. Here you can skip the cutscene and we'll go into Chapter 5. We have to be in Chapter 5 for each of the endings. And being that we're going after a trophy for a speed run, once we gain control of Edward, we are going to skip this. We're not going to talk to all of the people. I'm going to make a save so that we don't have to fight Jacob again. So from here, we want to go straight down to the fountain and we want to wait for Emily. Now here, while you're waiting, you can skip the cutscene if you like. You just have to make absolutely sure to move your left stick to the left and look at the tree when you get control. This is very important to get this secret ending. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but once you do this, you will get the 1 of the 1,000 young trophy, and we also got the I Don't Got All Night trophy. So the 1 of 1,000 young, that is for joining a cult, and the ending there is pretty interesting. And then the I Don't Got All Night trophy is for completing the game in less than 3 hours. So we got both of those all wrapped up in one. We're going to go to the main menu and we're going to load up that last save at Derceto in Chapter 5. And from here, we're going to get the normal ending.
Does Emily know about
So
Jeremy's
the
condition?
ending we just got, I guess, would be
Yes.
considered the
She
bad
seems to be
ending.
handling it quite
This is
well
just the
under the
normal ending.
circumstances.
And we are going to speak here to Dr. Gray 3 times.
Does she still
We're
want
going to
take
go and
Jeremy
talk to
away from
everyone
Derceto?
3 times,
I would have
but
to insist
we start
that
off
you
with
do.
Dr. Gray because we're
This is
right in
not
front of
that
him.
kind of institution.
So go ahead and finish up this dialogue.
Jeremy, hang on for a little longer, okay? We'll be going back to New Orleans soon.
Oh, good. I do so miss the city lights.
Once you're finished speaking with Dr. Gray, go over to the circular stairs on the right and speak to
Hey,
Ruth 3
Glad to
times.
see you made it back to Derceto.
You too, Detective. Make sure to stay for the festivities. It's no Mardi Gras, but it ain't bad.
You seen Emily around?
I saw her packing some things into that old jalopy you arrived in about an hour ago. I'm sure she hasn't given up on you yet.
Catch you later.
Looking forward to it, Detective.
Head down the
Good to
stairs
see you
and go to
back on your
Mrs.
feet,
Thompson and
Detective.
speak to
Have
her
some
3
gumbo.
times. I have to say, she is
Thanks.
my least favorite
save it for
character in
later.
this game.
Seems like everyone's in a pretty good mood.
The Eve of St. John is the most important date of the whole year. It's the only day when the black goat of the woods tends to her young.
I'm gonna go look for Emily.
Don't worry about her. She wouldn't leave without you, would she?
When you finish speaking to her, turn around and speak to Batiste 3 times.
What are you looking for?
Just keeping an eye out for the storm. Radio says it could be a wild one.
You don't know where Emily is, do you?
She's packing some of Jeremy's things. Said she wanted to take them away. I'm sure she'll come and get you when she's ready.
I should probably get a move on then.
See you around, compare.
Now we can head down near the fountain and speak to Lottie 3 times. Be careful that you don't
That is
accidentally
one
engage with
impressive
the
tree.
fountain. You want to only
More
speak to Lottie,
impressive than
who
you
I
could
think
ever
does not
imagine.
care for Edward too much.
So how does this all work? You dance around chanting? For the ritual, I mean?
Stay and find out, Detective. It might just do you good.
You haven't seen Emily, have you?
No, Detective. I haven't.
Just a hint of an attitude there. Turn around and speak
All
to
right, Johnny,
MacCarfey
what the hell's about
3
to happen
times.
here?
Every year we have a little turn the page ceremony by the tree. It's symbolical. It's like life has its cycles of grief and happiness. You know? Just like a tree facing the seasons. Things change, but remain the same.
So this is basically New Year's Eve, but with a tree metaphor.
Exactly. You're so smart. It's about starting again. I mean, who could use a positive message like that more than a bunch of lunatics like us?
I get the feeling some of you think this year is going to be special. Any idea why?
Well, we got some new words thanks to your buddy Jeremy, and some other changes to the program. Let's just say we're all in this year.
Once you finish speaking to MacCarfey, go over to Grace, but you will have 2 prompts. Make sure you choose the text
kid.
bubbles to speak
What
to
are you
her
up to?
3 times. Don't
Preparing
go
for the
closer to her
ceremony.
and use the other
I don't want
prompt
to disappoint
just
Mother.
yet. Just speak to her 3 times from further away.
What's your part in this?
I'm the Cabernet corn. It's very important. Only I can settle our debt.
You know, I had my doubts, but you are in the right place, Grace.
I think you might be right. For once.
Once you've finished speaking to Grace, you will get the Chatterbox trophy that is for both Emily and Edward speaking to everyone about everything. We're not going to go up to Grace just yet. We're going to do that ending last. So what we're going to do is walk over to the fountain and make a save. So we're going to go ahead and do the tree boss fight right now, but we're going to make this save here so that we can come right back. We've already spoken to everyone and we can get the, I guess, good ending last. So go and wait by the fountain
Everyone knows
for
what to
Emily
do.
to arrive.
Y'all know the new
We can
words.
skip this cutscene. Stay looking at Emily once you've skipped it. Do not turn and look at the tree.
Detective, get my
And then
uncle
we
outta
can
here.
skip the cutscene once the option goes away. Here we get pretty much the same graphic of the tree going crazy. And we're going to have to climb the
I can't let that monster
The
reach
little-
Rossetto. I have to stop it.
I don't know what it is. The balcony, I guess, fell down. We have to climb up that to get up to the roof. And then we'll drop down into the hole on the roof to start the boss fight. As you can see there, I did die the first time I played through trying to defeat the tree, so I put in a little cut there. We're going to get him this time, no worries. You can pick up all the ammunition that you need on your way to this area. Again, we're going to fight the tree at the top floor first, and then he will knock us down to the bottom floor. So for now, we just want to run around him and burst the little pustules, the white pustules that form on his head. Get rid of those. After we get rid of about 4 or 5 of them, he should knock us down to the ground. There's ammo everywhere. Just keep reloading and picking up ammo. You can see I just tend to go back and forth in this area. I don't really go around the sides too much. And yeah, he can hit you with his tentacles, so beware of that. For the most part, this is not difficult at all. Now we're knocked down to the bottom level. This is where the tree is going to start spitting out the regular enemies that we encounter throughout the game. He's going to start spitting these guys out, and we'll have to take care of them. Usually it's 3 or 4 roughly that come out. So as you see them, just get rid of them. Occasionally they can rush you like that. So be aware that there are healing items around. Here we're going to start bursting the different pustules that are on his legs, on his body. Once you knock out 2 legs, he will usually drop down to the ground, and then you can aim for the body. He'll rear his legs up that way sometimes. Just try not to be in front of him when he does that. And then when he falls to the ground, usually he'll start spitting out those regular enemies. So try to stay nearby. I prefer to use the Tommy gun here against the tree. The shotgun works really well against the regular enemies unless it's the little crawling ones. But try to stay nearby wherever your ammo of choice is. So on the left side on this little table is the Tommy gun ammunition. That's why I keep kind of staying around here. You just have to avoid that attack. It takes a pretty good chunk of health away. Keep just blasting away at those white bubbles that form on the body. I'm not sure if this boss fight is on a time limit or if there's a certain amount of damage that you have to do. I never really looked into that. I don't know if there's, like, if you just have to fight him for so many minutes or what it is, but either way, we've taken care of him pretty quickly. You can skip the cutscene. We get pretty much the same ending as Emily's canon ending here, which I have of course skipped. And once this is completed, we are going to earn the Case Closed trophy, and that is for Edward completing the game by defeating the tree. So now we can go into the main menu and we can load up our last save to get the secret good ending for Edward. So we're going to go ahead and reload this save, which I did reload the one that is before we spoke to everyone, but it really doesn't matter because we already have that trophy. We're going to head down here and you'll see me pause and go into the menu. Just this final check manages to get us the Honest Day's Work trophy, and that is for playing the game for 8 hours. So it includes both Emily and Edward's playthrough. It just tracks how much total time you've played, and you should naturally get this. Next, we're going to walk up to Grace, interact with the prompt that's really close to her, and choose the option to give her a present. This gives us the What Just Happened trophy, as well as the Alone in the Dark Platinum trophy. That is technically the good ending, which I have skipped just to avoid spoilers for everyone. And now I'm going to break everything down for you as to what I thought about this game in general. So when I saw that this game was available for free on PlayStation Plus Essential, I downloaded it immediately. It's a game that had been on my radar since before it came out. I was not able to play the original Alone in the Dark, so I was very curious to see what this one would be like, and I am glad that I waited. I would have been very disappointed if I had paid $40 for or $50 for this game. I did not find it very engaging. The characters, they're missing a lot of depth. I found Edward's story to be better. However, I did not like that when you play as each character, you spend approximately 3 full chapters plus another half of a chapter doing everything exactly the same. There are very, very minute differences between the two playthroughs, not enough to constitute a full playthrough, like A and B scenario types of having to do the same thing all over again. I did enjoy when they separated, when Emily went through the trenches in her memory and then Edward did his investigation in his memory. Those were much better. I think that the main gameplay should have been, for the most part, reserved for Emily. I think Edward should have done something completely different at his time in Derceto, and I also think that he should have had a completely different take on it. He should not have been having these flashes of images, when you walk into a room and then you try to leave and then the room turns into a boat or you're in a swamp. I don't think that should have happened to him. It made more sense for Emily to have that because she states in the beginning that her whole family is crazy. They all have something wrong with them, some type of a mental illness. So it would make more sense for Emily to have that, especially with the path she takes leading her to the Dark Man, her secret ending where she submits to the Dark Man. That all makes perfect sense for her. But with Edward having a detective background, he should have had a completely different story. The most entertaining part of the entire game, in my opinion, was when Edward goes down the rabbit hole of his memory. And it makes perfect sense why he would have trouble remembering Grace and his connection to her because of his alcohol abuse. You get to see that unfold in front of you by watching his ghost in his little section of only his story. And you get to get little pieces of how he investigates and bits of the story. I liked it, and I thought it should have been set up more that way during his playthrough. I don't think that the writers gave enough to each character. This could just be me, but I found once I played through Edward's personal story, I liked him more. It made him more relatable. It made him more human. With Emily's story, where she goes through the trenches and accepts the fact that her husband didn't die in the war, he actually died in Derceto because he had a mental illness, it made me really dislike her after that. I did not at any point feel a connection with Emily playing through her story at all. Every interaction that she had with everyone was either completely aloof and like she didn't really care, or in the case of Ruth, it was kind of like, ankle biting. Like she just was begging her to be her friend. Please be my friend. Please like me. That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. I don't understand it. I have a lot of pet peeves about some of the stuff in the gameplay. So when you're in the Egyptian temple and you're moving the lasers, you can burn the banners. Okay, so if you're aiming for the bats and you're moving the laser around, you'll notice you go over a banner and it goes up in flames. Well, if you're going to put that attention to detail in, why wouldn't you complete it? Because those sashes, they're hung by hooks on the top of the ceiling. So it's one really long sash that extends across the top of the ceiling and both ends hang down and it looks sort of like a banner. But when you burn one side of it, it burns to the top and then the sash stays there. It stays connected to both sides of the hook and doesn't continue to burn. It doesn't fall off of the hook and slowly burn up the whole way. Why would you not do that? Because if you burn both ends of the sash and then you look up at the ceiling, there's still a cloth that's spread across the two hooks that really shouldn't be there. If it was caught on fire, it would not stay that way. One end would fall, and then it would eventually burn the whole thing up. That was super annoying. Even more so were the doors. When you go to open a door and you push the button, You have to wait for an animation to play. The character picks up their hand, puts it on the doorknob, pushes down the doorknob, pushes open the door, and then you can get control of the character and pass through the doorway. If you're going to put that much detail in, why wouldn't you make sure that the door opens and closes the way that it normally would? Take, for instance, Silent Hill, the short message. That game had a lot of problems with its storytelling, but it did doors right. If you opened a door and pushed it open, walked into the room, and then turned around and went to leave, that same door, you would have to pull it open for you to leave. It worked just like it does in real life. That might not be a big deal to you, but it aggravated me. I thought they should have done more research on South Louisiana. We do not speak regular French. We speak Cajun French. No one says chérie. We all say chat. Why would you put that in there if it's not accurate? Why would you spell gumbo with an O instead of a U? We don't spell it that way. We don't say gumbo. We say gumbo. Just do a little bit of research. I thought overall the combat was fine. The gunplay was great. I liked the way the weapons sounded. The melee combat leaves a lot to be desired. It's very, very janky. I thought the section in Dr. Gray's apartment, I love the little throwback to the fixed camera angles. That was great. I just think it took too long. The amount of time that we spend listening to people talk is just ridiculous. And it wouldn't be so bad if they actually had something interesting to say. I can only think of about 2 conversations in the entire game, both playthroughs, where when you speak to someone, they actually have something interesting to say. Most of it is just filler. And then to have to speak to everyone 3 times in all these different parts of the game in order to get a trophy, and you can't do anything. You can't like continue to investigate while you're talking to them. You just have to wait for an animation to play out. Very annoying, very time consuming. I did like the fact that they did not use yellow paint to show you where to go. Instead, you got the blood red marks. That was really nice. I enjoyed it. It's harder to see. You have to pay closer attention and it doesn't jump out at you. So that was definitely a plus in their column. I thought the individual stories for each character were good. I enjoyed those much more than the shared story that you play through. But I didn't like the fact that both characters kind of go crazy. I think that should have been reserved for Emily, and Edward should have had a completely different story. The mental deterioration that you see with her was done well. I just think they should have done something different for Edward. Overall, for a free game, this is great. If you have PlayStation Plus Essential, pick it up. It's great for a free game, and it takes roughly about 8 hours. So overall, I would say it was about a C. I give it a C. Hopefully the next game that we pick up will be much better and longer, and I can't wait to see all of you in the next one. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this walkthrough, and remember, Khajiit always has wares.